So the story I'm going to review today is from the autobiography of a formerly enslaved man named James Roberts. And James was remarkable. He served in both the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812 under the promise of being granted his freedom, which never happened. But the story that I'm going to read today is James telling about one of his mates on the plantation named Joe, and Joe's attempt to seek revenge on an overseer who had wronged him. Jack Gillespie went to the eastern shore of Maryland to buy up more slaves, leaving his brother James to take care of the plantation till he returned, Mr. Coonrude being the overseer. Jack gave Coonrude orders not to whip Joe, his waiting servant. On the Sabbath morning after Gillespie went away, Coonrude ordered all the hands to the lower plantation to work in the rice and indigo. He there commenced to whip Joe early in the morning and whipped him all day, every few hours. Then at night, after they had returned home, Coonrude ate his supper, took his seat on the porch, and commenced to play his fiddle, playing the tune, "Hold the bell cow, catch her by the tail." Joe was standing behind him, and to revenge himself for the all-day whipping, he got a hoe and brought a heavy blow with it upon Coonrude's head and killed him outright. He then took Coonrude's handkerchief out of his pocket, tied it around his neck, and choked the last breath out of him, with which he dragged him to a deep sink back of his house, threw him into it, and covered him over with old logs. He scraped up all the blood and threw that in with him. The horn was blown on Monday morning at the usual hour, and all marched to the field. Between 9 and 10 o'clock, James came out into the field inquiring for Mr. Coonrude, the overseer. I, being the leader, was asked if I knew anything of Mr. Coonrude. I told him no, I hadn't seen nothing since Sabbath evening. He went away and came back in the evening and again inquired if I knew where he was, saying that he had been to every plantation within 4 miles and had heard nothing of him. He had brought with him all the overseers around the neighborhood. He now came to see me and laid violent hands on me, tied me to a tree, and then called all the other hands around. When Joe came up, he asked him if he knew anything of Coonrude. Joe promptly replied, "I do, for I killed him." "What," said Joe, "are you going to do with Jim tied to that tree? Let him go. He knows nothing about it. Let all the Negroes go away from here. They know nothing about it. They did not kill him. I killed him. For he was intent on killing me on Sabbath day, for he whipped me from morning till night. My life is as sweet to me as his was to him. And if I was to do it over, I would kill him again." He asked Joe where he had put his body. Joe said, "Go to the house. I will show you. But you go on before. I'm not going before. Go alone," driving the whites before him, calling them villains and dogs. They went to the house, and Joe said, "He is down in that hollow there." They wanted Joe to bring him up. Joe said, "I'm not going to bring him up. Bring him up yourselves." They attempted to force Joe down, not knowing that he had a weapon, which he had kept concealed under his clothes. This was a part of an old scythe. As soon as they saw it, they let Joe alone for the present and went down and brought up the body. They then asked Joe why he had killed him. "My life is as sweet to me as his was to him," said Joe, standing with his sword waving in the air. James Gillespie told him to lay that down. Joe said, "I shall not do it. I've got to die, and I will take some more of your lives." They sent for a coroner to hold an inquest. Joe said, "Send for him, for it may be that he will have to hold an inquest over 2 or 3 more when he comes." They then took Joe and carried him off to jail, but he never gave up his weapon till he got to the jail. He then said, "I am now done till my trial comes on." The sheriff asked Joe if he was not sorry. "No," said he, "I am not sorry, for if it was to do, I would do it again." They took him to the gallows, and there asked him if he was not sorry. He said, "No, I would do it again. You need not bring all these colored people here to see me hung to intimidate them. It is no disgrace to me. I die an honorable death. Did not God put these limbs to my body to defend it? The governor said, "Knock away the trap and let him fall. We will not hear such impudence as that. Knock away the trap." The high sheriff said, "Not so. Let him speak. It is his right to do so." Joe said, turning to his colored friends, "Don't one of you grieve for me. I die an honorable death. Do not grieve for me, my friends. I bid you all adieu. Here is an end to Joe in this life. Though I die with a sore back, I die a man's death. Let no white man kill you, but you kill him." The sheriff then pulled the cap over his eyes, knocked away the trap, and in a few moments, Joe was no more.